When you join the FBI, you join the front line between order and chaos. And in today's world, you know how easy it is to lose perspective.
With us are two men I would like to refer to as the Maniacs. Maniac Brothers. Gentlemen, welcome.
Hello.
Point Break. The first thing that comes up when you talk to people about this film is they can't remake this film. What are they doing? What was your thoughts going into this?
Those were my thoughts, that you can't remake Point Break, and you shouldn't, and we didn't. We reimagined it. And that was a very important difference because we all loved the first film, did not want to remake that verbatim. It's not the same film. I think anyone who loved the first film is certainly going to love this, and it's 25 years later, and it's on a world stage. There's extreme sports in it that haven't even been invented at the time the original was made. But I think a lot of the themes of the characters that I loved from the first film and the story points from the first film that I loved are certainly present here, but they're in the new perspective of 25 years later on a world stage.
Identify these individuals and report back to me.
You ever surf anything like this?
What does the original Point Break mean to you?
The original Point Break means a whole lot. You know, I grew up in Sydney and the northern beaches of Sydney in the 90s, and that's pretty quintessential. You go for a surf and you come home and you have a meat pie and a chocolate milk and you watch Point Break, dude. That's what you do in Sydney as a kid when you're growing up.
They call me Bodie.
Ask me a lot of questions for someone you don't know.
You and I got something to do. Okay? I'm a hardcore fan of the first Point Break. I mean, I watched it when I was 13, you know, and of course I was completely fascinated by Patrick Swayze's performance, and that's the reason why I wanted to do Bodhi, because I want to try to get that feeling and to go through that experience.
They're attempting something called the Ozaki 8, a series of 8 ordeals that honor the forces of nature.
Let's talk about the athleticism in the film. Tell us about the different components that you have, comprise Point Break of.
We've been lucky enough because of Point Break and also the extreme athletes' knowledge and love of the first film to get the greatest extreme athletes in the world, the top echelon of every single extreme sport out there, to get on board with this movie, which was extraordinary.
That's death.
Maybe. But it's also perfect.
At what point was there a conversation with the producers and the director about, okay, so we're going to reimagine Point Break, and this time it's not just surfing, but we're also going to introduce these other elements where you could very well die?
Yeah, dude. I mean, you watch. I read the scripts, and it happens all over the world, and you kind of like, oh, this should be cool. Like, but you know, knowing Hollywood, we might just film it in a studio somewhere, and then you meet the producers and the director, and they go, no, we're going to all these places, and are you scared of heights? I don't think so. Good, because you're going to be standing on the edge of a cliff. You're going to be hanging off Angel Falls, a kilometer above the earth. You know, you're going to be doing these things. We're going to get the world's best in all these sports to do the stunts for us, to perform these. We're going to film it in a way that's never been filmed before.
Those guys really put their lives on the line for the film, because they performed stunts that had never performed before. So they really pushed their own limits as athletes for the film. And for that, I feel very grateful.
There's a few $1 billion up there.
You're gonna steal it?
No.
We're gonna give it back.
What's required mentally and physically to be able to go through the stuff that they go through in the film?
I'll turn that to Jabba.
Well, the wingsuit flying sequence especially, you need a person who's been spending enormous amount of time and energy and resources. It's someone who took 5 to 10 years, and actually, honestly, these guys, the average one had around 20 years of experience in jumping, over 17,000 skydives each. You know, was the average. Some of them have over 25,000 skydives. It was an incredibly dangerous stunt, an incredibly challenging stunt, and in order to pull it off safely, that's what you have to do. These athletes are on a whole different level.
What are you doing here, Utah?
Maybe I'm chasing the 8.
A man who pushes his boundaries ultimately finds them.
Come with us.
This is a journey, and this is a movie about two characters that are discovering things about each other, with each other, through each other, and there's a very special and intense relationship and exchange between the two characters, and that was the case of the first film, and that was also the case of this new reinterpretation, this new reimagination of Point Break.
You You've been undercover too long. What just went down was a crime.
People see what they want to see.
They think they're crusaders with a worthy cause. And if you're talking about Point Break, it's all about pushing the envelope and taking it to the next level, and this movie does it. I mean, there's no movie like this. You know, no one's ever seen extreme sports get filmed like this. No one's ever seen it like this. Dude, it's mind-blowing, man. It really is hectic.
I need to get to Bodhi before the final ordeal. Otherwise, he's gone.
Bodhi, stop!
We're all gonna die.
The only question is how.